A family left with many questions after police say a Mercer County teenager was murdered. What his loved ones are saying about an arrest in the case.
As the investigation continues into racial threats made against a high schooler, the NAACP says they're not satisfied with answers from Lexington's bishop, and they're now calling on school leaders to resign.
What police say led to an assault at a southern Kentucky home has now left a woman fighting for her life.
This is WKYT News at 11.
Good evening. If you enjoyed the sunshine and warm temperatures today, you will probably really like what is coming our way tomorrow.
It looks like the great spring weather will be sticking around for quite some time. We begin tonight with meteorologist Jim Caldwell and your no-wait weather forecast, and it all comes on Friday, which we love.
That's right. Friday's the beginning of it, and then it just keeps coming at us as we go into the weekend and beyond. Spring is finally here, and it's really trying to go off the charts and say, sorry, it's a little cool last week. I'm going to be a little bit better to you this weekend. Showers are showing up out there tonight. That's the only issue that we can run into, and it's very light rain, most of it even falling apart now through parts of London, back to Manchester, and just north of Barberville. This is what I call nuisance showers because it'll wet the pavement, just cause a few little issues out there for you, but nothing major expected out of that. Temperatures even tonight are at some very comfortable levels. 53 here in Lexington. How about low and mid 60s all across southern and eastern Kentucky? The areas that we're actually seeing the showers for a better part of the day, that's where you find some of those nice temperatures. 48 mostly clear during the overnight here in Lexington. A little bit of cloud cover to our south. Tomorrow, we're right back into the low 70s with maybe a stray shower or two showing up. I'll break that down a little bit better coming up for you at around 11:11. But spring has finally got its act together, and it's hanging around with us. We'll track it coming up.
Jim, thank you. Family members of a murdered Mercer County teenager tell us they can't understand why someone wanted to kill him, but they hope to have answers soon now that police have made an arrest in the case.
Police say they found 17-year-old Tristan Cole shot to death last night in a Mercer County field. They say they arrested another teenager for the murder this afternoon. Monique Blair talked to Tristan's family and his friends tonight. It's our top story at 11.
He was a normal 17-year-old boy. And now, he's gone.
It is a family's worst nightmare.
He just left school one day, and now this is what they find.
Kentucky State Police say Tristan Cole was robbed and then shot to death, and then left in a field off Deep Creek Road Tuesday night. And then a neighbor found Cole's body on Wednesday night.
It's just awful to think that somebody would do something like this to a child, and his life is cut short in the least expected way.
Around 4:30 Thursday afternoon, a juvenile was brought here to the Mercer County Sheriff's Office and charged with first-degree robbery and the murder of Tristan Cole. Cole's family tells me although the arrest does not bring him back, it does give them some peace.
It is heart relieving to know that somebody's being held accountable for such an awful tragedy.
They say Cole was a role model.
Nice, kind.
But also a kid himself who loved to play football and hunt.
He was just a kid, you know, he really loved life.
So now Cole's family will focus on the memories.
We'd stay up late and we'd sit in the living room and play games.
As they try to heal.
It's sickening, just heart sickening to think, you know, that you don't know if your child's going to come home.
In Mercer County, Monique Blair, WKYT.
Cole's family is asking for help paying for his funeral expenses. You can find a link on how to donate on our website, WKYT.com.
They are calling for change. Tonight, leaders of the Lexington NAACP chapter say something needs to be done at Lexington Catholic High School after a 14-year-old African-American student said he was harassed and threatened by a classmate over his race. That classmate now faces charges. Another African-American student also claims a white student assaulted him. As Garrett Weimer tells us new at 11, the NAACP wants some school leaders to step down.
NAACP leaders say it's time for a change at Lexington Catholic High School.
Racism has raised its head once again, and it's in our high school. in one of our private schools, Lexington Catholic High School.
Now they want the school principal, Sally Stevens, and school president, Dr. Steve Angelucci, to resign.
The community's crying out right now, and so we believe that in order to transform that culture, it has to start at the top.
That's one thing they say they brought up in their meeting Thursday afternoon with Diocese of Lexington Bishop John Stowe. NAACP leaders say they also talked to the bishop about measures they want to see the school put in place to make it more inclusive. That includes things like an audit of the school's athletics program and sensitivity training.
We are actually in the year 2016. And if you see what has taken place, when we start talking about lynchings again, it takes us all the way back. If it rewinds the clock, it takes us back to the 60s.
A spokesperson for the Diocese of Lexington said in a statement, the bishop welcomed the opportunity to meet with the NAACP and hopes that they can be a resource in moving forward against the remnants of racism. Saunders says he's glad the bishop met with them, but he's not satisfied with his answers. He says they're scheduled to meet again next week. In Lexington, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
Now, we attempted after hours to contact a spokesperson for Lexington Catholic High School. They did not immediately return our request for comment. As for the alleged assault, school leaders told us yesterday it had not been reported to them.
Court records are showing a man accused of hitting and killing another man with his car while driving drunk has faced alcohol-related charges before. Police say that Adam Childress' car jumped the curb and hit Richard Perkins along Highway 25 in Williamsburg last night. They said Childress didn't stop until his car crashed on Highway 92. The coroner says Perkins died at the scene.
He was on the sidewalk. He was walking his dog, which was not uncommon.
Childress pled not guilty today to murder, DUI, and leaving the scene of an accident. Court records show that between 2008 and 2010, police arrested Childress for 3 DUIs and public intoxication. Investigators say he also resigned from his job at the Whitley County Jail last year after allegations of him being drunk on the job. A Boyle County man now admits he killed a child in his care. Police say Joseph Adams killed and sexually abused a 13-month-old boy in 2014. By pleading guilty, Adams avoided the death penalty. As part of the plea deal, the judge sentenced Adams to life without parole after he waived his right to a sentencing date.
New tonight, a woman has died in a lawnmower accident in Clay County. It happened late this afternoon outside a home on Sadler Road north of Manchester. The coroner says 60-year-old Oma Burr died after her riding lawnmower rolled over a small embankment. Investigators think it happened when the mower got too close to the edge. The coroner says family members told him Bird enjoyed mowing, and this was her first time doing so this year.
New tonight, University of Kentucky President Dr. Eli Capilouto says he's pleased to see state lawmakers have reached an agreement on a state budget. The budget proposal still has to be approved tomorrow, the last day of the legislative session. The governor also has to approve it. The proposed budget calls for less cuts in funding to state universities than what the governor originally proposed. In a statement released tonight, Dr. Capilouto says, quote, I am very appreciative of Governor Bevin's willingness to restore a portion of his mid-year reduction to our current state appropriation.
New tonight, a former corrections officer at a federal prison in Lexington has pled guilty to bribery. The U.S. Attorney's Office says 46-year-old William McClellan admitted smuggling tobacco into the Federal Medical Center in exchange for $1,800 from an inmate. McClellan will be sentenced in July. Investigators say he could receive up to 15 years in prison. We're learning more tonight about what investigators think led to a woman being badly injured in an assault in Knox County. The Knox County Sheriff's Office arrested Haley Bond. Deputies say she showed up at her father's house Sunday, then got into an argument with him. They say her father's fiancee, Sue Sizemore, tried to step in, but deputies say Bond then attacked her. They say Sizemore, Bond's father, and another family member then locked themselves behind a door until police arrived.
They wasn't going to come out as long as she was outside on the porch. Of course, I secured her in my cruiser, then made contact with the 3 elderly people inside.
Deputies say Sizemore was injured so badly she's now on life support at UK Hospital. Bond didn't want to talk from jail today.
New tonight, a conference building at Cumberland Falls State Resort Park in Whitley County has been closed. The state park leaders say wooden beams supporting the roof of the Blair building have deteriorated, and they're worried about the building's safety. The building had been used for meetings and conventions. State parks leaders say that all other buildings at the park are still open, including some smaller conference rooms.
A heated debate tonight between Democratic presidential candidates Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. We'll look at some of the highlights of the night in 9 minutes.
And then it was all caught on tape, what police are saying about a theft at a Central Kentucky store in broad daylight.
It's time to wake up. You've got things to do, mouths to feed, work to get done. It's another Kentucky morning. And Kentucky mornings start here.
Good morning. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Rebecca Smith.
You don't have time to waste, so we don't waste your time. Simple as that. Breaking and overnight news, weather to plan your day, plus traffic you can take with you. Make WKYT This Morning part of your Kentucky morning. Weekdays from 4:30 to 7 on WKYT.
It's an all-systems-go weekend at Green's Toyota of Lexington during their 48-hour sales explosion. 0% financing on 10 different Toyota models. And up to $5,000 off MSRP on new Toyotas with their Green Saver coupon. This weekend only. Green's.
Considering bankruptcy? Call Atkinson, Sims & Kermode. Start your bankruptcy for only $78 now. Dial 859. Call ASK for your free consultation.
With a heavy-duty welded steel deck and exclusive smooth track steering, the Hustler Raptor zero-turn mower doesn't play around. It's got the power to turn your weekend to-do list into your weekend to-done list. The legendary Hustler Raptor family starting at just $27.99. Tools, not toys.
Get your Hustler mower at Huss Equipment in Nicholasville and Valley Farm Equipment in Science Hill.
Lottery jackpot sequence has been initiated. Prepare for current jackpot amount.
Saturday's Powerball jackpot is $205 million.
If your child has been bullied, injured, or abused, please call one of our child advocates right now. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
It's an all-systems-go weekend at Green's Toyota of Lexington during their 48-hour sales explosion. 0% financing on 10 different Toyota models. And up to $5,000 off MSRP on new Toyotas with their Green Saver coupon. This weekend only. Green's.
Get WKYT news and weather updates on 104.5 The Cat. Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Jim Caldwell.
Still pretty warm and pleasant out there on this Thursday night, and the warm factor will not go away. It's going to stick with us all the way into next week and probably beyond. Though we might dip. I know it's going to be terrible. Maybe back into the low 70s. Oh, it's going to be terrible. But we are going to be pretty warm leading up to that as well. Let's check and see what we've got going on out there tonight with our temperatures. We're holding on to 50s and 60s. So you come to Lexington and you find 53 degrees. It's very pleasant. It's not bad at all. But you go down I-75 to London, they're at 64 degrees. They are only about 6 degrees off of where we got for a daytime high in Lexington. So they're still very, very warm out there tonight. We had clear skies. They had more cloud cover through the past several hours now. As we've started to lose the sun a few hours ago, they kept all that warmth right in place. So they're still warm tonight. So you were warm. We look to the north and to our south and all around, 60s, 50s, 40s even showing up. They're close. But this is going to be only a nighttime issue. We only see 40 showing up at night, at least close to us, because most of the eastern half of the country will be blanketed with a lot of warmth starting tomorrow and then beyond. A lot of it was out there today. Tracking a little bit of shower activity with some of those clouds that we've been watching for a better part of the day. When we were on the air earlier this evening, watching that sky cam, looking off to the southern skies, you could see some of the cloud cover. And we still have it tonight with a little bit of showers out there in London, traveling back into northern parts of Knox County and into Clay County as well along the Hal Rogers Parkway. It's all being fed in here. A little disturbance passing along the Gulf Coast and just spreading some of that moisture into Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and of course right here into Kentucky. So we're getting in on some of the light rain closer to the Hal Rogers Parkway here tonight. It's a nuisance shower. That's what we call them. Through next week, this is what our pattern is going to look like. It's pretty simple. The chilly stuff is going to be well off to our west, and we and all around us will be warm. Even that chilly that you're seeing right there, that is going to erode away as we advance into next week. Eventually it goes away and just kind of hangs out around Canada. What we're talking about is 5 to 15 degrees above average between starting tomorrow, really today, and then into next week, because we have a shot to get up to around 80 degrees. Now, when you get into a pattern where there's not a lot going on, it's just warming and warming and warming, it becomes a little bit stagnant. Now, not truly stagnant with the humid air that you see, but with not a whole lot coming in, blowing in at least, pollen forecast starts to go up, with oak and birch being primary issues here over the next few days. It's a scale from 0 to 12, and on Saturday and Sunday, we're in the 11-point range. So you see the general idea here. And overnight, tracking those showers out of here. Tomorrow could be a zone between Lexington and Louisville that will break out into showers into the afternoon and evening. That would be the primary zone. You can kind of see some of the moisture coming together. So we'll watch for a stray shower there. But that's really about it. Nothing else going on. No major systems until sometime next week there. We get into Wednesday, Thursday time frame when we start tracking a few showers into the area. And oh my goodness, there's that cool spell again, 71. Oh no, it's terrible, right?
Is that really worth even discussing, right?
I know, right?
You just have to throw it in for good measure.
Got to, yeah. Whew, terrible.
I'm going to leave the state.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah.
It has sparked a debate on the UK campus. Should part of a busy street be closed to traffic permanently? What students are saying in 7 minutes.
Right now, at the all-new Big M Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, get up to $5,000 over Kelley Blue Book fair market value for any trade. During the spring clearance event, new 2015 Jeep Renegade Sports, just $189 a month. Visit BigMSuperstore.com.
It's early, and you need a breakfast built for work days, not weekdays. Say good morning to the $3 breakfast with the chicken and gravy breakfast burrito from your DQ. Our famous chicken strip plus eggs, cheese, and pepper gravy wrapped up in a warm flour tortilla, served with crispy hash browns and coffee, all for just $3. Now this is a breakfast built for work days. The chicken and gravy breakfast burrito, just one of our delicious $3 breakfasts, only at your DQ. This is fan food, not fast food.
Spend an evening with James Taylor and his all-star band. The American icon is back on tour. April 24th, Rupp Arena. The multiple Grammy Award-winning James Taylor and a night full of his biggest hits. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster. James Taylor, another Beaver production.
Thank you for the cereal.
The crayons made a big difference.
It may not seem like much to you,
but it means the world to us.
Kroger stores are increasing local community rewards donations to $3.6 million, and you can help decide where that money goes. Sign up at Kroger.com/community rewards and link your Plus card to the local group that matters most to you. When we all join together, there's nothing we can't do. Great food, low prices at Kroger.
I've always dreamed of owning my own business, but it takes a lot of work to make a dream come true. Luckily, my John Deere dealer made it easy. My 3E tractor handles every job I need it to, without breaking a sweat. And the money I saved lets me know I'm doing something right.
Introducing the best-in-class, no-cost 6-year powertrain warranty on John Deere compact tractors.
Save at Limestone with an E-Series mower and loader tractor package. Find details in a store near you at limestoneflw.com.
Right now, at the all-new Big M Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, get up to $5,000 over Kelley Blue Book fair market value for any trade. During Ram Truck Month, new 2016 Ram Bighorn Crew Cab 4-wheel drives are only $199 a month. Visit BigMSuperstore.com.
Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders met on the debate stage tonight, just 5 days before New York voters go to the polls.
And the two Democratic candidates wasted no time attacking each other. Jamie Yukas has some of the highlights of tonight's debate.
Excuse me. I have said the Secretary, exact same Senator, thing. Please.
Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders came out swinging, with the senator questioning the secretary's judgment.
I question a judgment which voted for the war in Iraq, the worst foreign policy blunder in the history of this country.
Talk about judgment and talk about the kinds of problems he had answering questions about even his core issue, breaking up the banks.
The candidates clashed over Clinton's relationship with Wall Street.
I stood up against the behaviors of the banks when I was a senator. I called them out.
Secretary Clinton called them out. Oh, my goodness. They must have been really crushed by this.
Whether it was Wall Street, a $15 minimum wage, or guns, the candidates hit at each other hard, and the crowd reacted with each verbal punch.
What about the greed and recklessness of the gun manufacturers and dealers in America?
Okay. Well, I've got a D- voting record from the NRA.
The latest poll shows Clinton with a 10-point lead over Sanders in New York. Voters here will decide the final numbers on Tuesday. Jamie Yukas, CBS News, New York.
5 more eastern states, Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island, hold contests on April 26th. New tonight, authorities in Japan say at least 9 people were killed in a powerful earthquake. They say nearly 800 others were injured. The magnitude 6.5 quake toppled houses and buckled roads in southern Japan. Thousands of people are having to stay in shelters after losing their homes. The earthquake did not trigger a tsunami.
New tonight, a Kentucky sheriff's deputy says he used his baton to stop a sexual assault. The suspect, Thomas Jaggers, now faces multiple charges, including sexual assault, assaulting an officer, and wanton endangerment. Investigators say an Edmonson County sheriff's deputy was called to a home Wednesday morning. They say he walked in on Jaggers sexually assaulting the victim, and the deputy's orders to stop were not enough. Investigators say the deputy then started hitting Jaggers with his baton to stop the attack. Also new tonight, a grand jury has indicted a man accused of shooting a Simpson County sheriff's deputy. 28-year-old Ben Wyatt faces attempted murder, assault, and domestic violence charges. Last month, police say Deputy Eddie Lawson was trying to serve an arrest warrant on Wyatt when Wyatt shot him. They say the deputy returned fire, hitting Wyatt. The deputy survived and is now out of the hospital.
Police call it a brazen crime. They say surveillance video appears to show a man arming himself with a gun before stealing merchandise and a woman's purse from a Shelby County store. Shelbyville police say the man appears to load the gun before walking into the store Tuesday afternoon. They say he went into an office, took 4 cartons of cigarettes and a purse before leaving the store. Police say workers at the store didn't even know what had happened until they looked at surveillance video a day later. Police have not made any arrests.
New tonight, Tennessee's governor has vetoed a bill that would have made the Bible the official state book. The bill narrowly passed both chambers of Tennessee's legislature. The sponsors said it would honor the historical contributions of the Bible, but the state's attorney general warned the bill would violate the Constitution. The lawmakers could still override the veto, as Tennessee only requires majorities in both chambers.
Should a temporary closure of Rose Street on the University of Kentucky campus be made permanent? For the last year, the stretch between Columbia and Huguelet has been closed for construction of the new academic science building. But after construction, UK wants to make the closure permanent and turn Rose Street into a walkway to make the area safer for people walking. UK students we talked to had mixed opinions about the proposal.
It's hectic because there's literally one way in and out on campus if you're coming this way, so all these people have to go all the way around the block down by the strip to get back.
UK presented the proposal to Lexington's Planning and Public Safety Committee, which is now reviewing it.
Tubby Smith has a new coaching job tonight, Rob.
How did Tubby land in Memphis? He explains what happened yesterday and this morning. And Boom Williams may not have had contact this spring, but he still had to learn the offense. Sports is next.
Get WKYT news and weather updates on 98.1 The Bull.
May 3rd and 4th, EKU Center for the Arts. Get tickets at EKUcenter.com.
Lexington Overstock Warehouse is open this weekend for our spring cleaning warehouse sale. Get quality furniture and mattresses at incredibly low prices. Queen bed $297, sofa $397. Go to LexingtonOverstockWarehouse.com for more details.
Kentucky Lottery's Keno, the exciting way to have fun with your friends every 5 minutes.
Fueling imagination.
Funding education.
At Hair Win, we've been helping people for 125 years.
If you've been injured in a life-changing accident, we can help.
Contact us at helpingkentucky.com.
Hair Win. Visit helpingkentucky.com.
Friday's Mega Millions jackpot is $80 million, and Saturday's Powerball jackpot is $205 million.
A car accident,
a work-related injury, or applying for disability benefits. All can have life-changing effects, but with help from the Spencer Law Group, you can get your life back on track. Most cases are resolved outside of the courtroom, but if your case does go to trial, you'll have an experienced legal team behind you.
This is Pastor Larry Wilson. If you are injured and thinking about filing for disability, please call Mr. Spencer. He and his experienced legal team will help you through to the end.
I love grocery shopping at Kroger, but sometimes life gets busy.
So I use ClickList. It's easy. I just order online. And with thousands of great items and fresh food to choose from,
I can get what I want the way I want it, then pick up my order at the store without ever leaving my car.
And for me, that's a game changer.
Order online, pick up curbside at store. We think you're gonna love ClickList. Try it now at Kroger.com/ClickList.
Want to fill your garage with the best value brand in America that costs less than the competition? Honda's got it. During Honda's Dream Garage Sales Event, redesigned 2016 Accords, the #1 selling sedan, just $199 a month. Or drive with 0 down, 0 security, and 0 first month's payment. Accords, available with Honda Lane Watch, Brake Assist, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and more. Just $199 a month or 0 due at signing. Honda's got it at your Central Kentucky Honda dealers.
I'm Amy Henson. My husband and I founded Rock Bottom Soaps. We use goat milk to make soaps and lotions that help dry, irritated skin. We're members of Appalachian Proud, part of the Kentucky Proud program, which helps local families just like ours. Look for Kentucky Proud products available every day at Kroger.
Right now at Kroger, Ale 8 is 3 for $10 when you buy 3. And Kroger Sour Cream or Dip is 2 for $4. Great food, low prices at Kroger.
Boom Williams is a running back who can hit a home run. He can explode at any time, and he lit things up with this run on the very first play last season. Durability has been a problem. Boom has not taken part in contact this spring as he's coming back from an elbow injury. He has learned the new offense installed by Eddie Grant.
That is one of the benefits, is I've been able to sit back and watch some film more of how they did things, how Coach Grant and his staff did things at Cincinnati and those type of things. So I've been able to watch film, get in the playbook a little bit more, and be able to understand this offense. And Coach Grant and his staff has done a great job of coming in and putting the offense in.
Blue-White game is Saturday afternoon at Commonwealth Stadium. You can see it on the SEC Network beginning at noon. If you can't make it out, join us on the CW Lexington on Sunday. Kentucky football 2016, the Blue-White game, a recap of spring ball, interviews with coaches and players as they get ready for the upcoming 2016 season. Louisville football coach Bobby Petrino has a new contract. The deal is for 7 years. It's worth $30.625 million. That's an average of about $4.3 million a year. It keeps him in Louisville through 2023. Petrino now the third highest paid coach in the ACC.
Well, this is where I want to be. This is the place I want to finish my career, and I think everybody sees that now. And you know, someone was saying, I think it was Rocco, was saying, you know, this thing runs out, you're 62 years old, what are you going to do then? So well, I hope I get another one.
Tubby Smith introduced this afternoon as the new coach at Memphis. Smith and the school coming to terms on a 5-year, $15.4 million deal. Tubby replacing Josh Pastner, who left for Georgia Tech. Tubby led Texas Tech into the NCAA tournament in just his 3rd season in Lubbock. He explained what happened over the last couple of days.
With the committee on Wednesday morning, was preparing to get back on a plane to go back to Lubbock, but we just felt like we needed to spend a little more time talking, getting to know people, and that's what happened. And this morning, we finally, I finally called at about 6 o'clock this morning, because it was one way I was either going to be on a plane heading back to Lubbock, or I was going to call and say, hey, look, I'm your guy, I'm here, and that's how it happened.
Assistant coach Adney Amadou will not return to the staff of Kentucky women's coach Matthew Mitchell. He just completed his 2nd season with the team. Amadou worked primarily with the post players and served as coordinator of player development. Amadou is a native of France. He came to UK from Dayton and prior to that coached at Syracuse. The Reds trying to avoid being swept tonight at Wrigley Field. Fifth inning pitcher Jason Hamill. Drive deep to right field. Addison Russell scores and the Cubs win up 2-0. Another run scored on a sacrifice fly. And then in the eighth inning, the Cubs just busted the game wide open. Russell gets his third hit of the night. Cubs with 5 in the eighth inning, and they go on to win it 8-1. They are now 8-1 on the season. The Grade 3 Appalachian Stakes, highlighting racing out of Keeneland. In the field, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf winner, Catch a Glimpse.
Catch a Glimpse goes to the lead, and Ava's Kitten second on the outside. Princess is now third. Final furlong of the Appalachian. Ava's Kitten coming after Catch a Glimpse, and then Outsider Art third. Catch a Glimpse hanging tough. Ava's Kitten giving her all from the outside. The Canadian Horse of the Year chased to the wire by Ava's Kitten and Outsider Art. Catch a Glimpse wins it.
Going off a 3-5 favorite, Catch a Glimpse remains undefeated, 5 wins in a row, all on turf. Florent Giroux, the winning jockey. Great day for racing out of Keeneland. We'll be right back.
Some things are simply impossible to ignore. The strikingly designed Lexus NX Turbo and Hybrid, the SUV that dares to go beyond utility. Lease the 2016 NX 200 Turbo for $349 a month for 36 months. See your Lexus dealer.
You're gonna love what's new at Fazoli's, the Create Your Own Sampler. You get 3 choices of Italian deliciousness from 12 Fazoli's favorites. That's over 250 combinations for just $6.99. Only at Fazoli's.
If you've been denied VA benefits, visit forthepeople.com or call 1-800-MORGAN-LAW so we can help you with your appeal. Morgan & Morgan, for our veterans.
I love Spain. This food, the wine, the tapas. I want to stay here forever.
Well, we're not in Spain. We're home.
I know, but this food is so delicious.
Then it's like a Spain-cation.
Head to Kroger for authentic recipes, specially imported foods, and delicious meal ideas at the Taste of Spain event.
Cook up fresh Perdue boneless chicken breasts for just $1.99 a pound. And sweet red, yellow, or orange bell peppers are now 10 for $10 at Kroger.
It's not about the distance you have to go. It's about the drive that gets you there.
It's what makes us Kentucky strong, independent, and proud.
Giving it your best, 100% every day, because that's what it takes.
When it comes to getting things done, nothing outperforms, outworks, or outshines Ford F-Series trucks from Paul Miller.
39 years and still the leader. Ford F-150 from Paul Miller. Big Blue Nation's destination.
United we stand, Kentucky strong. Ford Trucks and Paul Miller.
Did you know? Less than 10% of people who can donate blood actually do. Did you know? Patients in your community need your help. Donate blood at Kentucky Blood Center today. Visit kybloodcenter.org for more information.
I'm Rob Bromley, inviting WKYT TV viewers on the vacation of your dreams, a land and cruise tour of Alaska, August 5th to the 18th. We'll enjoy a guided tour of Denali National Park, visit Anchorage and Fairbanks, and travel on the White Pass and Yukon Route Railway. We'll also board the MS Volendam for a spectacular 4-night Holland America cruise. All airfare, hotels, and more are included. For a free brochure, call Holiday Vacations at 1-800-826-2266.
It's an all-systems-go weekend at Green's Toyota of Lexington during their 48-hour sales explosion. This weekend only, 0% financing on 10 different new Toyota models, including new 2016 Camry, Corolla, RAV4, and RAV4 Hybrid, with up to $2,000 in customer cash available on select models. And save up to $5,000 off MSRP on new Toyotas with our Green Saver coupon. Hurry in to Kentucky's #1 Toyota dealer, Green's Toyota.
Great people, great cars, think Greens.
Stay connected to the news that matters to you. Follow WKYT on Twitter.
The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is less than a minute away here on WKYT. Tonight's guests include Michael Strahan from Live with Kelly and Michael and Samantha Bee.
I know who one of those people is.
You don't know Samantha Bee?
I guess I probably do, but
watch in just a few minutes.
Do you know? Are you hip too?
I've got emoji cast, so I am definitely hip, okay?
You're a hipster.
Oh, God, temperature's running high tomorrow morning, close to 50 degrees through the day. I'm ignoring you, you know that, right? Then you see all smiles and all sunshine through the rest of the day for most of us. There might be a stray shower, I think, maybe somewhere between Lexington and Louisville tomorrow, but it's a small chance.
Rob, do you know who Samantha Bee is?
No.
There's two of us.
They're both going to find out in just minutes. See you tomorrow.